Good morning. Welcome to Saturday, May 13th, 2023. This is Just Parlays on the Winners and Winers Network. I, of course, am Chris King, your host. Hopefully, everybody had a good week. Hopefully, had a good couple of weeks. I know I wasn't here last week. I apologize for that. Had some medical issues that I had to get dealt with that necessitated a trip to the doctor on a Saturday, which is never fun. But we're on the comeback trail with all that, so hopefully things will be better going forward. What did we see last night around the world of sports? Well, I'm sure everybody's excited to see the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. They dispatched Golden State 122-101 in Game 6 last night, ending the Warriors season and maybe putting an end to us ever having to hear about the Warriors dynasty ever again. Steph Curry had 32, but Klay Thompson showing that he's had some struggles when it comes to shooting the basketball, especially in the postseason. 3 of 19 from the floor. Finished with just 8 points. He was 2 of 12 from 3. Andrew Wiggins, 2 of 8, had 6 points. I mean, outside of Curry, the only other player to score in double digits for the Warriors was Dante DiVincenzo off the bench with 16, and clearly that wasn't going to get it done. Give credit to the Lakers. They started the year 2-10. They finished above 500 by the time the season ended. Be interesting to see how well they match up with the Nuggets in the Western Finals. Denver, of course, took out Phoenix the other day, pasting them 125-100 in Game 6 of that series. How's LeBron and Anthony Davis and those guys going to match up with Nikola Jokic, the two-time MVP, is going to be interesting. Plus, how will they deal with the altitude? I mean, as it was, even though they won by 21 points yesterday, James played 43 minutes. Davis played 40. D'Angelo Russell played 41. Those are some big minutes in a game where you won by 20-some points. And I get that Schroeder got thrown out. But, I mean, even Austin Reeves, played 39 minutes. So they didn't really go to the bench. Only 2 guys played more than 4 minutes off the bench for the Lakers in that game. That was Hachimura and Lonnie Walker. You're going to have to get some better minutes out of your bench group against a Denver team that has some pretty decent depth. You got Caldwell Pope and you got, let's see, who else do they have coming off the bench? I'm just trying to think because, everybody talks about Jokic and Murray and Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon. But, you got Bruce Brown, and then you got Green, who just never seems to go away. And you got Christian Braun. And then, if Mike Malone really wants to, he can go down to someone like Reggie Jackson, who has plenty of experience playing in the postseason. And he's also got a couple bigs that he can roll in there if he needs to. If Jokic needs a breather or if they want to, use up some fouls or something, you've got DeAndre Jordan and Thomas Bryant. But the Lakers and the Nuggets in the West Finals ought to be interesting. That series will start Tuesday. Meanwhile, there are no games in the NBA tonight. We saw the Knicks battle, but they ended up falling short to the Heat, losing 96-92 in Miami last night to end that series. Let's face it, the Knicks had their chances, but couldn't get it done. And here we are. We talk about a couple of teams that are low seeds playing in the conference finals. You got the Heat, who, had to battle through the play-in tournament to get here. And they're now in the conference finals, and you got the Lakers on the other side. We know who the Lakers are going to play. We don't know who the Heat are going to play because Philadelphia and Boston will play Game 7 tomorrow at the TD Garden. Boston came back to win Game 6, 95-86, despite some of the worst shooting I've seen in quite a while. Going back to the days of John Starks in Game 7 against the Rockets in the 94 finals. Jason Tatum was, let's say, not good for the better part of 3 quarters. Shooting 1 of 14 at one point in the game. He was 0 for 10 at the half. Turned it on in the fourth quarter, hitting, 4 of 7 shots or something like that, 4 or 5 from 3. He scored 16 points in the fourth to outscore the 76ers by himself as Boston rallied to win 95-86. So now it's going to be interesting what happens now. Tobias Harris, as good as he was in the regular season, has been a non-factor in the playoffs. He was 1 for 7 in 42 minutes, finished with just 2 points. Embiid had 26, but faded in the fourth quarter. Maxey had 26. Harden has been an enigma in this series because one day he'll go off for 45, and then the next day he disappears. You look at his performance in the series. He had 45 in the opener when they won at Boston. Then the next 2 games he scored 12 and 16. Then he had 42 in Game 4, including the game-winning 3 in overtime. But the last 2 games he finished with 17 when they won. We only took 8 shots from the floor in that game. And then in Game 6, when he had a chance to put it away, he was 4 of 16 from the floor, 0 of 6 from 3, finished with 13 points, turned the ball over 5 times. So, Forrest Gump talked about how life is like a box of chocolates. Harden's offensive performance is like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get. He hit 17 of 30 in Game 1, 16 of 23 in Game 4. But you look at his shooting performances in the other 4 games, 4 of 8 in Game 5, 4 of 16 in Game 6, 3 of 14 in Game 3, and 2 of 14 in Game 2. He's hit a bunch of threes in the series. Give him credit for that. He's got 16 threes in the series, but 13 of those came in the 2 games where he scored 40-plus points. In the other 4 games, he's a combined 3 for 21 from beyond the arc. And, that's not going to get it done. I know Boston changed things up. They went and rolled out Horford and Robert Williams for stretches of the game, which was a dominant unit last season when they were outscoring opponents by something like 25 points a game per 100 possessions, or 25 points per 100 possessions. But let's face it, we're talking about a Philadelphia team that just finds ways to melt down when the game's on the line and the series is on the line. This will be Doc Rivers' 16th Game 7 as a head coach. I guess you could say that's a testament to, his team's hanging around in series, but it's also a testament to his team blowing leads in series. And, the question remains, can Philadelphia actually advance? Rivers is 6-9 in Game 7s. He has the most Game 7 losses of any coach in NBA history. He's lost his last 4 Game 7s going into this one. And none of those games have been overly close in Game 7 lately. They lost 103-96 to Atlanta last year. Back in 2020 when he was with the Clippers, they lost 104-89 to the Nuggets. In 2017, he lost 104-91 to the Jazz. In 2015, he lost 113-100 to the Rockets. So you're looking here and you're like, well, how much confidence do I have in a Doc Rivers team in a Game 7, knowing that his team plays terrible basketball in those situations? As a matter of fact, in Game 7s, in Doc Rivers' career, his team has scored an average of 94.3 points a game. That's not going to get it done. I mean, they can hang close in a game against Boston if Boston's not hitting their perimeter shots. But still, you're talking about a team that's not that deep. They're centered around their front court group with Embiid and Harrison, Harden, and Maxey. But after that, who are you going to look to on the bench? Are you expecting big points from DeAnthony Melton or Shake Milton or George Yang? I mean, Furkan Korkmaz, who was a valuable piece last season, has been glued to the bench. Same with Montrezl Harrell. They picked up Dwayne Dedmon. He's done nothing. And you look in Game 6, Melton played 24 minutes, and Ang played 15. Daniel House Jr. played 8. Paul Reed played 6. And McDaniels, Springer, and Milton all got off the bench for 1 minute. Rivers is going to have to get something from somewhere if he hopes to win Game 7 and move on to the East Finals, because otherwise it's going to be another season of people going, well, what the hell? We didn't win the game, and now we're not in the conference finals. What's wrong with this team? Are we going to trade Embiid? Are we going to trade Harden? Are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? Who knows? On the ice, we saw Vegas come back and beat Edmonton 4-3. They now lead that series 3-2 with Game 6 pending, I believe it's tomorrow night, in Edmonton. Connor McDavid scored twice. The problem is, Edmonton needs more than one line to have success. Elsewhere, Florida moved on to the East Finals. Big game from Sergei Bobrovsky. They beat the Leafs 3-2 in overtime. Disappointing end for Toronto. They were outplayed in this series. Florida took the momentum from coming back to beat Boston and put it to use. But, you look at some of the numbers, and Bobrovsky really, kept them in the game. Toronto took 52 shots yesterday. Bobrovsky stopped 50 of them. And, I know we've talked a lot about officiating being an issue in the National Hockey League playoffs. There was a goal that was called a no goal last night. I'm not going to sit here and say that was the reason why Toronto lost the hockey game. They lost the hockey game because they were outworked in key situations. But, give credit to Joseph Wall. He stepped in there after Samsonov got hurt in Game 3, led them to a win in Game 4, kept them in the game in Game 5 before Nick Cousins scored in overtime. So kudos to the Panthers. They'll move on to play the Carolina Hurricanes in what should be an entertaining series of teams that you're like, well, wow, I didn't realize there are hockey teams that far south. Well, that happens. It'll be interesting to see what Toronto does in the offseason. They made a lot of moves to bolster this team with O'Reilly and Achiari and things like that. I fully expect that you'll see someone. I don't know if you'll see Michael Bunting back next year. His suspension in the first round kind of rendered him useless in the playoffs until Matthew Nyes got hurt. And there's talk that you might see them kick the tires on trading Marner or Matthews or somebody like that. I don't see that happening. I know that it's tough when you have multiple guys making 8 figures in the salary cap league that is the NHL, but I just don't see it happening. It just those guys are still 25, 26 years old in the middle of their primes. I don't see them being dealt unless you're getting a king's ransom back, and it's tough to play in Toronto. Let's be honest. It's the hockey capital of the world as far as the NHL goes, and there's no brighter spotlight. It's kind of like playing for the Yankees in baseball. You've got 9,000 media jamming their cameras and microphones and everything else in your face, and covering the rise and the fall of whatever you do on any given, from game to game or season to season or whatever. But I digress. Make sure that you like and subscribe, ring the bell, do all that happy stuff so you know when we're here. As you know, it's Saturdays at 9 a.m. Eastern. We're talking about potentially doing something maybe once or twice during the week, but it's in the preliminary stages. So I don't want to get too deep into that until Steamroller and I and some of the other guys talk about it to figure out how that would work. But we know that you guys missed the content during the week, and I know you guys missed Steamroller's videos. But speaking of that, make sure you check out all the other guys' videos on the Winners and Winers Network. You got Mason, you got Dave Delano, Arthur Loud, of course, Reichel, who is probably sleeping because, that's usually what he does when he's not doing videos or podcasts. But check them out. Also, if you like premium plays, I've got the promo code rolling across the bottom of the screen. You can use it to save 60% off any premiums. That includes daily packages or weekly or monthly or for the season or, parlays, my regular picks, whatever. So put that to use and save yourself some money. With that said, I think, let's see, just making sure I didn't miss anything important from yesterday. I mean, I know there was a lot of baseball because there should have been. Congratulations to the Oakland A's. They actually won yesterday. Came back to beat Texas 9-7 in 10 innings. The A's now 9-31 on the season, 4-16 at home. Martin Perez struggled, gave up 3 homers in 5 innings for Texas. Shintaro Fujinami picks up his first major league win in relief. He's now 1-4. He got the final 2 outs of the 10th inning. His ERA is still 12.17. For those of you wondering, just checking, a robust crowd of 6,575 people turned out to watch the A's. Good seats still available for the rest of this series. In case anybody was wondering, you could probably get them for about 12 cents. And probably still have your own personal hot dog vendor. So check that out if you're in the Oakland area. A's and Rangers play today at 4:05. That matchup will be John Gray taking out J.P. Sears. I know that's an exciting matchup for everybody. With that said, let's move on to why everybody's here. We'll talk about 3 for the money. And I'm going to go with the Dallas Stars to close out the Seattle Kraken. Seattle's been a good story. They beat Colorado in the first round of the playoffs, and everybody was excited. And, they were up in the series 1-0 after, they won game 1 5-4, and then they were up 2-1 in the series when they beat the brakes off of Dallas in game 3, 7-2. But reality has kind of set in the last couple of games. The Stars have plenty of guys that have been here and done that. Jake Ottinger is a good goaltender. Meanwhile, Philippe Grubauer, he played well against Colorado. His goals against the Avs, .231, a .925 save percentage in the opening round. In this series, his goals against .421, his save percentage, .858. That's not going to get it done. The Kraken getting outshot badly in the series. like I said, Ottinger's a better goaltender. Roop Hintz, Jason Robertson, Pavelski. There's just a lot of weapons there for the Stars to work with. Seattle 0-3, trailing after one period. 0-4, trailing after two this season. It's hard to have a ton of faith in a young team that hasn't got the experience of getting things done here. I just think that, Dallas, with their experience and with the momentum of winning the last two games, you have to think that they can close things out and finish this series off on a positive note. Tampa Bay over the Yankees. I know that New York came back to win yesterday 6-5 at Yankee Stadium. Thanks to some late offense. They scored twice in the seventh, twice in the eighth after Tampa Bay scored three in the eighth to take a 5-4 lead. Tampa Bay's bullpen struggled. Let's be honest. Garrett Cole only threw 5 innings, labored to throw 95 pitches in that stretch. It was Anthony Rizzo playing the hero. He had a pair of homers, including a 2-run shot off Jason Adam in the eighth to give the Yankees the victory. Clay Holmes, the much maligned Clay Holmes, picked up the win in relief. But in this one, we're talking about a pitching matchup that favors Tampa Bay. Shane McClanahan, a guy who was in the running to be the AL Cy Young winner last year before getting hurt, and then kind of sputtered after he came back. On the mound for Tampa Bay, he's 7-0, a 176 earned run average, a 113 whip, 20 walks, 58 strikeouts over 46 innings and 8 starts, coming off 6 shutout innings against the Orioles on Monday. We'll face Nestor Cortez, who's been okay, but not great. 3-2, 474 earned run average, 11 walks, 39 strikeouts in 38 innings. Cortez coming off a win in his last start on Monday, where you have 2 runs on 6 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, and 5 against the A's. Yankees still in the basement of the AL East, despite being 4 games above 500. Tampa Bay 30-10 on the year. I just like McClanahan a lot more than I like Cortez, especially lately. You take a look here. For the Yankees, Aaron Judge, 3 of 16 against McClanahan in his career with 7 strikeouts. LeMahieu, 3 for 16. Rizzo's 2 for 11. The only guy that's really hit him well is Gleyber Torres, who's 6 of 14 in his career with 2 doubles and a homer. Meanwhile, you're taking a look at Cortez, and like I said, he hasn't been great. It's just hard to have a ton of faith in him. Yandy Diaz, 6 for 21 against him. Paredes, 3 for 10. Margot, 3 for 10. Ramirez, 3 for 11. Wander Franco's 2 for 8. Brandon Lowe is 2 for 4 with a double and a homer. Meanwhile, Randy Arozarena, 2 for 13 against Cortez in his career. But I think the Rays can pull that one out. And finally, we just talked about how the A's got to win. Well, the one thing you usually count on with the A's is they don't deal well with sustained success. That's what happens when you have 9 wins at the 40-game mark of the season. I'm going to take the Rangers. I know it, like I said, it's Gray and Sears. We're talking about Gray 2-1, a 382 earned run average, 14 walks, 27 strikeouts, 37 2/3. Picked up the win on Monday against the Mariners, 7 innings, 1 run, 4 hits, no walks, 8 strikeouts, and a 2-1 Texas victory. And, the current A's hitting a $190 against Gray in his career. Aguilar 1 for 7, Tony Kemp 2 for 10, Laureano 1 for 5, Jace Peterson 2 for 8. Rooker's 1 for 2, but I don't necessarily expect a ton out of him. Sears 0-3, 554 earned run average. He's been tagged for a bunch of home runs this season, giving up 10 in 37 and a third innings. He's given up more homers than walks. He's walked 8, but given up 10 homers, 38 strikeouts. Sears coming off the loss in that start Monday against the Yankees, 5 runs, 6 hits, no walks, 4 strikeouts, gave up 3 homers and 5 and a third in a 7-2 A's defeat. Looking at the Rangers, Jonah Heim, 3 of 7. Jung is 2 for 5. Nate Lowe, 3 of 7. So they've got some guys that have hit Sears fairly well in limited at-bats. So it's just hard to have faith in the A's. I mean, let's face it, they're not a good baseball team by any stretch of the imagination. I think the Rangers should take care of business and win that one rather convincingly. I think they should win by at least 2 or 3 runs. Provided the Rangers have fixed their bullpen issues, which we saw bite everyone in the ass a couple weeks ago when they played the Reds, when they blew multiple 6-run leads to lose games in Cincinnati. That said, we're on to 4 for the show. And take note, it's going to be very baseball and hockey-centric with the limited number of games we have. Though I do have the XFL in there. I didn't touch the USFL this week, still trying to get a handle on how games are playing out over there. It's kind of weird seeing some of those teams that you remember from the 1980s. Jared McCann, over 2.5 shots on net. McCann scored his first goal of the playoffs in Game 5. I should have taken him and Pavelski to score goals in that game because I missed a parlay because Pavelski finished with 2 shots instead of 3, even though he found the back of the net in that game. Kind of pissed me off. But, you know, McCann coming off, like I said, he scored in the game the other night. Shots on goal in the last 4 games in the playoffs because he missed time with an injury. 4-4, 3-4. I think he can get over 2.5. Especially with the Kraken facing elimination. That line has come down a little bit. It's now minus 145. So some value to be had there. The Mariners over the Tigers. Bryce Miller making another major league start, coming in off 6 shutout innings over the Astros in his last outing as the Mariners beat Houston Sunday 3-1. Now we've got him going as Alex Fado, and you know what do you do with Fado? You Fado him because he's only made 1 start in the majors, went 4 2/3 in a no decision against the Cardinals last week when the Tigers were beaten 12-6. I don't have a ton of faith in Detroit. I know they played some better baseball of late, but let's face it, they're still the Tigers. They're still below 500. They got beat 9-2 last night. I'll take Miller and what he's done on the mound over Fado, who has not impressed anyone in the early going this season in the Motor City. That game, it's a 110 start, I'm sorry, at Comerica Park. So hopefully the weather holds out there. The Diamondbacks over the Giants. It's Zach Gallen taking on Anthony DeSclafani. Diamondbacks won last night's game 7-5. DeSclafani, he's pitched well, 3-2, 280 earned run average, 0.93 whip, 4 walks, 33 strikeouts over 45 innings in 7 starts. Took the loss in his last start, which was Monday against the Nationals. 5 runs, 10 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, and 7. As the Nationals lost 5-1, or the Nationals won 5-1 over the Giants. The problem for the Giants is they're facing Zach Gallen. Gallen 5-1, 236 earned run average, .085 whip, 6 walks, 64 strikeouts in 49 and 2/3. He's given up just 2 home runs in 49 and 2/3 innings. Comes in off win over the Marlins Monday night. 7 innings, 1 run, 5 hits, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Arizona won that game 5-2. Gallen has pitched well. I mean, look, you can't argue with what he's done. Current Giants, the guy who's hit him the best, Thero Estrada, 5 of 10. Conforto's 3 of 7. On the flip side, Lamonte Wade, 1 of 15 with 7 strikeouts. Jock Peterson is 2 for 18 with 6 strikeouts. Wilmer Flores, 1 of 10. Not really great numbers there for the Giants as far as hitting him goes. Just taking a look at the splits here. At home, Gallen, he's made 4 starts, 4-0, a 0.33 whip, 2 walks, 41 strikeouts, and he's given up an on-base percentage of 149 at home in those 4 starts. So he's given up 1 run in 27 1/3 at Chase Field. That tells you something about how well this guy has pitched in the first month of the season. Lefties hitting a .174. Righties having a little better luck. They're hitting .219. But if you're a lefty, you might as well just go back to the bench. Slash line of 174, 193, 221. You're slugging .221 as a left-handed hitter against Zach Gallen. Those are some ugly numbers. After losing his season opening start when he gave up 5 runs in 4 2/3 on opening day, Gallen gave up just 5 runs in the entire month of April. So I'm going to back the Diamondbacks in that one. And finally, the Renegades and the DC Defenders in the XFL title game. We saw, the Defenders move on as they took care of business in the I can't even call it the opening round because it was just the division finals because they only have 4 teams getting the playoffs. The Defenders were 9-1 on the year. They led the league in points per game, 29.8. They did give up 23 per game. So, meanwhile, Arlington finished 4-6, but they did advance as they rolled past Ben DiNucci and the Seattle Sea Dragons. DC beat Seattle 37-21. Arlington shut down the Houston Roughnecks 26-11 in the other division title game. So these teams met the regular season finale when it was 28-26 in overtime in favor of the Defenders when Seattle had nothing to play for. I think there's to be a lot of offense in this game. We talked about how DC averaged almost 30 a game. They gave up more than 23 a game. Arlington, they played better after they got Luis Perez to take over at quarterback. I think that this game is going to be a high-scoring affair. I think it'll end up over 46.5. Like I said, the last meeting ended up at 54. So the potential for points is there. And, I don't see Arlington slowing down DC's offense. He got Jordan Tamu at quarterback. He got Abram Smith, the former linebacker turned running back from Baylor, who led the league in rushing. We know that Arlington's defense isn't all that great. Look for somewhere like, 34-22, 34-23, something like that ends up over the number. And with that, it takes us to Shot in the Dark and Jim's to Blame. Now, remember, you don't have to take all of these. You can mix and match them. Like I said, we had to kind of improvise because of the fact that, there's not not a ton of stuff going on today, with the NBA playoffs at a standstill today with no games. The NHL playoffs with one game. The WNBA comes back next week, so we've got that coming up. And CFL, that's right, the CFL preseason starts next week. So good times coming on the horizon as far as talking about other stuff. But we just talked about the Defenders and the Renegades going over the total. I think DC is going to win this game and cover the line. I just think, while that game in the regular season finale ended up being close, it's because DC had nothing to play for. In this case, they're playing for a title. They're going to try to put their foot firmly on the throat of the Renegades, and they're not going to move it until the game is over. I think DC wins this one by double figures. They're a motivated team. A lot of these guys looking to make a name for themselves. The Braves over the Blue Jays. This is me basically saying I don't believe in Jose Barrios. You look at him, and I know everybody's like, well, come on, he's pitched well lately. He's still 3-3, and his earned run average is .491. I know he beat the Pirates the other day, or in his last start. Went 6 1/3, 2 runs, 5 hits, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. I know he's only given up 4 home runs in 40 1/3 innings. Here's the thing. He's still got an ERA of almost 5. You look at the Braves that have faced him. Acuna is 3 for 3 with a homer. Albies is 3 for 4. Matt Olson is 6 for 19. Eddie Rosario is 2 for 6. I don't buy into Barrios as being good. I know he's made 2 good starts at home. He's 2-0 with an .075 earned run average. But left-handers have killed him. They've hit .313 against him. All 4 of the homers he's allowed have come to left-handed hitters. Lefties hitting .313, righties hitting .218. I think Atlanta will take advantage of that. Bryce Elder going for the Braves. He's 3-0, a .174 earned run average, a .111 whip, 13 walks, 36 strikeouts, and 41 1/3 innings this season. You have to give Elder credit. He's stepped in there with, Fried's been on the shelf twice now. Kyle Wright is on the shelf. I'm trying to think who else has been banged up for Atlanta. Soroka hasn't pitched yet. It's basically been Strider, Morton, and Elder. And then, insert name here. I haven't heard anything lately on Soroka's status. He's down in AAA, pitching with Gwinnett. Took a loss yesterday. Hasn't pitched in the majors since 2020. Hard to believe it's been that long. Let's see. In the minors, he's 0-2, a .547 earned run average, a .1581 whip, 7 walks, 22 strikeouts, and 24 2/3 in 6 starts. You have to think that maybe Atlanta wants to see more from him before they try to bring him back up and plug him into a spot. Because you're looking here, the Braves signed Justice Sheffield to a minor league deal the other day. They say Wright and Fried are both going to miss at least 2 months. So that's going to be interesting. Dylan Dodd is filling in for Wright. It's hard to say what they're going to do otherwise, they're going to have to figure out a starter for tomorrow. Morton has been pushed to Monday. Strider pitched yesterday. Currently, they're showing everybody's favorite pitcher undecided for tomorrow's game. But still, I think the Braves should get the win here in that one. The Orioles and the Pirates. We've got Roansy Contreras going against Tyler Wells. Baltimore won last night 6-3. Contreras 3-3, a 474 earned run average, a 155 whip. He got roughed up Sunday in his last start. Gave up 5 runs, 9 hits, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts over 5 innings, and a 10-1 loss to Toronto. Tyler Wells, he's a guy you don't hear a lot about, but he's pitched fairly well of late. He's 2-1, 315 earned run average, 7 walks, 31 strikeouts in 40 innings. Took a no decision in his last start against the Braves. 1 run, 3 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts in a game the Orioles dropped 3-2 in 12. But Baltimore has got a pretty tough lineup. You look at what the Orioles have done. They're 25-13. They've really built off of last season and, gone off and running with it. You look at their lineup and they've got guys driving in runs from all over the place. Mullins has 31 RBIs. Mountcastle has 27. Rutschman has 21. Mateo has 20. Santander has 20. Urias has 16. Adam Frazier has 14. Austin Hayes has 13. Gunnar Henderson hasn't driven in a lot of runs, and he struggled hitting just $170. But these other guys have picked up the slack. You look around and they don't have a ton of power because you look and Mountcastle leads with 8 home runs, but they move from station to station. They take the extra base. They're knocking guys in. Mullins and Mateo both have swiped 12 bags. Rutschman has a 407 on-base percentage. They're getting things done offensively, and that's what matters at this point. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh has fallen off a cliff. Everybody was excited when they started off the year really hot, and then, reality set in, and they come into this one losers of 10 of their last 11 games. And, that's not going to get it done. Gio's talking about Atlanta, Baltimore, Boston, the Kraken over, and the Marlins. Yep. The Mariners, I've got the Mariners on there. And the D-backs, I've got the D-backs over the Giants. It's hard to go against Gallen, especially with his numbers at home. I mean, like I said, he's given up 1 run in 27 in the third and struck out 41 guys there. And he doesn't let guys get on base. He's just been ridiculous at Chase Field, which is impressive considering how, favorable Chase Field has been for hitters in recent years. Rube Hintz, over 2.5 shots. We talked about Hintz a bit earlier, being such a force there. He scored twice in Game 5. He's been a guy you're like, who the hell's Rube Hintz? And then you look and see that he's put up some pretty good numbers on the year. And I think that he's gonna be active. I mean, there's no two ways about it. He's been one of the straws that stirs the drink when it comes to Dallas's offense in the playoffs. Boston over the Cardinals. I know everybody's like, Boston. Where the hell would you talk about Boston? Give credit to the Cardinals. They won yesterday. They won 8-6. Unfortunately for them, they're throwing Steven Matz on the Monday. Matz 0-4, 570 earned run average, 1.6 whip, 15 walks, 33 strikeouts in 36 and a third. The current Red Sox hitters against Matz in his career hitting .338. Verdugo's 4 for 11. Turner 4 for 17. Kiki Hernandez 8 for 26. Rafael Devers 4 for 9. Even Bobby Dahlbeck 2 for 7 with a home run. Matz has not been good. Let's be honest. There's a reason why you're 0-4 and your earned run average is over 7. Or is over 5.5. He pitched decent against the Tigers in his last start. He had 1 run on 5 hits and 5 1/3. But it's the Tigers, and nobody expects them to be a big offensive team. Meanwhile, Chris Sale, his numbers aren't great either. 3-2, ERA of 6.37, 144 WHIP, 11 walks, 45 strikeouts. He's been better in his last couple starts. Gave 1 run on 3 hits, no walks, and 5 strikeouts against Cleveland in a 7-1 win on April 30th. And then on May 5th, 3 runs, 7 hits, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts in 6 innings as the Red Sox beat the Phillies 5-3 in that one. So his last 2 starts have been solid. I know the Cardinals can hit. I mean, if you wanted to chase the over in that game, you could, but I think the over's been pushed up to double digits. So I'd be a little leery there, but I just can't trust the Cardinals. They're in last place in the NL Central. That makes everything good as far as the baseball world goes, because anytime the Cardinals suck, it's a happy day for Cubs fans. The Kraken and the Stars over 5.5. We just talked about it. I know the number has been bumped to 6 a lot of places. If you can still get 5.5, it's definitely worth it. I see it's actually come down in FanDuel to minus 124 at over 5.5. A lot of places you can get it at plus 100 for over 6. But you look at the goals in this series, they've gone over in all 5 games. The total was 5.5 in all 5 games. They've totaled 9, 6, 9, 9, and 7. I don't necessarily see teams suddenly playing better defense here. We talked about Grubauer's numbers in this series, how he's got a goals against over 4 and a save percentage of .858. I'm surprised that they haven't made more out of maybe changing things up in net. If you're the Kraken, Martin Jones finally got into the game the other day. He made 2 saves in 18 minutes because Dallas didn't care because they were way ahead. Do you pull Grubauer at this point? Do you go to Jones, who's not played in the postseason? It's going to be an interesting call for the Kraken there, but I think this game ends up over the total because that's what we've seen the whole series. Dodgers over the Padres. I don't trust Joe Musgrove at this point. I don't trust the Padres bats either. They lost 4-2 last night. We watched them lose to the Twins the other day where they couldn't get timely hits when it mattered. Last night they had 8 hits, but it didn't matter because they didn't get any of them when they needed them. They finished the game 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. Machado bounced into 2 double plays, went 0 for 4. They couldn't hit Dustin May. They struggled with Caleb Ferguson. Evan Phillips pitched well in relief. Snell had a decent start, even though he walked as many guys as he struck out, but still didn't get a decision. Then Tim Hill gave up 2 homers in the 7th. Musgrove 1-0, 675 earned run average, 143 WHIP. He's made 3 starts, hasn't gone deeper than 5 innings in any of them. He had 1 run. It was unearned on 2 hits, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts in his start against the Dodgers last Sunday. The Dodgers went on to win that game 5-2 in 10 innings. Musgrove, let's see, Freddie Freeman, 11 of 27, 2 doubles, a triple, a homer, 5 RBIs. Mookie Betts, 5 of 16 with 2 doubles. Max Muncy, 9 of 25, 3 doubles, a homer, 4 RBIs, and 7 walks. Peralta, 7 of 21, 3 doubles, a triple, a homer, 5 RBIs. Miguel Rojas, 6 of 12. So some pretty good numbers against Musgrove from some of the Dodgers hitters. He'll face Urias, 4-3, 377, earned run average 117, WHIP, 9 walks, 48 strikeouts over 45 1/3. If Urias keeps the ball in the park, he's pretty good. He's given up 8 homers already this season. He threw that game Sunday 2 runs, 8 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, and 5 2/3. Just taking a look at what the Padres have done against Urias in their career. Cronenworth, 4 of 22. Nelson Cruz, 2 for 6. Haesong Kim, 3 of 14. Austin Nola, 4 of 18. Fernando Tatis, 3 of 16 with 2 doubles. Here's the plus and minus of Juan Soto against Urias in his career. He's got a homer. That's the good news. The bad news, that's his only hit against Urias. He's 1 for 23 in his career. Manny Machado, the lone guy with big success against Urias, he's 13 of 31, 1 homer, 4 RBI, or 1 double, 4 homers, 8 RBIs. But yeah, 1 for 23 for Juan Soto. That's not the kind of numbers you want to see when you're paying that guy a truckload of money. Good to see you, John. I know you're disappointed about the Islanders, but, Lou Lamoriello, I'll have a busy offseason, I'm sure, getting that team ready for 2023-24. At least they've got Horvat under contract, along with Barzal and the rest of those guys. The Marlins over the Reds. Has anybody seen a team that's played worse than the Reds? I know they won yesterday over the Marlins and Yuri Perez, 7-4. Perez, had a decent major league debut, 2 runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts in 4 2/3. But then the bullpen blew it, which is typical if you are the Marlins. Pitching matchup was supposed to be Nick Lodolo. Now I see they're switching it to undecided. Trying to see if I can find anything. Okay, Lodolo has now been marked unable to make the start. He's been scratched with a calf that's sore. He was supposed to pitch Thursday. They pushed him back. They're not sure if he's going to hit the IL or not. So it'll be interesting to see who takes the mound for the Reds. Good God, could they bring back Luis Cessa from the minors? Either way, that makes it even better for Sandy Alcantara to take the hill. Okay, yeah, Lodolo is returning to Cincinnati, so he's not even going to be on the road trip. So there you go. It's going to be good old TBD on the mound for the Reds. That never bodes well, especially with as bad as the Reds have pitched this season. On the flip side, Alcantara, he hasn't been great after winning the Cy Young last year. 1-3, 453 earned run average, 121 whip, 12 walks, 40 strikeouts of 43 2/3. Pitched brilliantly against the Cubs Sunday before fading a little bit in the ninth. Went 8 1/3, 2 runs, 9 hits, no walks, 9 strikeouts. They left him in to try to get out of to try to win the game, and he got tagged for 3 straight hits. Got tagged for 3 straight hits in the ninth and gave up the tying runs. The Marlins ended up winning 5-4 in 14 innings, but a bid or no decision for Alcantara. Something he was all too familiar with last season, as he left multiple times, where he barely gave up anything offensively and ended up with a no decision or a loss. The Marlins don't necessarily score a ton for him. 2 of his losses this season came in games where the Marlins were shut out. And his one win came when he went the distance in a 1-0 game. So not a lot of offense there. Current Reds hitters against Alcantara: Kevin Newman, 3 of 9. India, 2 for 8. Jose Barrero's 0 for 6. Tyler Stevenson's 0 for 4. Senzel's 0 for 3. Not a lot of a track record there for Reds hitters, but I think Alcantara gets it done. Bjorkstrand over 2.5 shots. I know everybody was watching Bjorkstrand in the Colorado series, shooting pucks all over the damn place. He scored in the opening game of this series, hasn't scored since, but he's still been putting rubber on the net. He had 3 shots in Game 5. He had 3 shots in Game 3. I think, this is going to be one of those games where Seattle's firing rubber from anywhere and everywhere to try and find a way to stay alive in this series. Bjorkstrand's a big factor in that. And Pavelski, you can go 2 ways with this. I put the goals prop up because, it's prettier. And because Pavelski pissed me off because, like I said, he only had 2 shots the other day, and I had him at 2.5. But you look in Pavelski, if you want to go with the shot prop, over 2.5 shots is plus 140. He had gone over the total in the first 4 games of the series, and then, of course, went under when I needed him to go over in Game 5. I wouldn't surprise me to see him get 3 shots, so you could play the shot prop if you want it. Like I said, at plus 140. The goal prop is plus 174. Pavelski scored 7 goals in the 5 games in this series. He had 4 in the opener. Then he scored in games 2, 4, and 5. So you can play the goal prop if you want. He's been on a tear. Pavelski is 3rd among all players in goals. He's 1 goal shy of tying Martin St. Louis and Johnny Busick for the most goals by a player 38 or older in one postseason. He's also now the oldest player in NHL history to score 7 goals in a series. He broke the record set by Maurice the Rocket Richard, who scored 7 goals in a playoff series back in 1958 at the age of 36. Let's face it, Pavelski, he missed almost the entire series against the Wild after he got hurt in Game 1. But he's come back with a vengeance in this series. And Seattle has not found a way to keep him from putting the puck in the net. Look for him to either light the lamp or, like I said, if you want to play the shot prop, over 2.5 is plus 140. So there's some good value there as well. And that will do it for today's show. I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their day to be here. I know that being on the weekends, early in the morning, people have things to do and places to be. But I appreciate you taking a little bit of time out to stop by, say hi, be a part of the show. And if you watch this after the show's live, still, thanks for tuning in and watching. Feel free to comment on the YouTube channel. Drop your thoughts. Drop your what you're chasing today, what you're hoping to see pan out for you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a happy Mother's Day to those of you that are mothers. Be safe out there. Like I said, make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell so you know when we're here. Take advantage of the promo code, save on premium plays. And, be safe out there. We'll see you next week for the Winners and Whiners Network. And for Just Parlays, I'm Chris King. We'll see you next time. So long, everybody.